I'm Shandy, everybody. Welcome to the Chinese New Year, Year of the Horse. So that's pretty cool. I like horses. But anyway, so tonight's topic, we've picked becoming free from aches and pains. That's been my world, becoming free from aches and pains. I'm pretty sure once you get over 30-ish, then things start to happen, especially after 40. Then these little aches and pains come in. And as we keep doing what we're doing and thinking we have to heal the body. And so becoming has got a special meaning behind it. It's you're not eliminating anything, not healing anything, and you're not fixing anything. So we were becoming free from aches and pains. So because aches and pains have a really hidden quality, in the sense behind the aches and pains, maybe it's protection, maybe it's telling us something, but we're not listening. And so there's a bit more aches and pains, and we're still not listening. And it gets a bit harder, and suddenly get a new knee, and so. But because we are separating ourselves from the body, we're putting the body outside ourselves. So therefore, the body is just doing what it's been fed, and it's just cruising along. In a sense, it's lost. It's like someone is being kicked out of home, and it's just wandering around outside in the streets and sleeping under the bridge. And so that's what happens to the body, you see. But if you're not including the body in your life as an equal, not that it's some horrible insect or animal or something that needs to be destroyed or taken care of, or some people have animals locked up in cages and fishes in bowls and all sorts of things, but that's not what the body is. The body's an instrument, it's a beautiful instrument, and it's like you see the great composers and the great violinists and guitar players, and their tool is so valuable. I mean, it's so beautiful and warm and loving to them, and that's what we need to do for the body. Body is a tool. It's the tool is for your awareness, for the I am. Like the soul is a tool for the I am. So your soul and awareness are two different things. And as we go through the process and learning to understand how it all lines up, and how the body is actually the major part of experiencing life, isn't it? I mean, if you're not having the body with you, how can you do anything? How can you even become enlightened or loving or kind or hated or anything negative or positive? Because it's not it's just an experience, isn't it? So the human is your experiential machine or tool, but it's more than that. It's actually got a personality traits, and it's not going to become enlightened. So when the soul leaves the body dies, so it's important that you have a good relationship with the body. It's like a car, I just inaugurated someone's nice new Ford truck the other day, $1 zillion worth probably. But I said, did you like your other one? And he said, yeah, I did actually. I had a lot of love for my other one. I said, you can bring the vibration of that love you have for the other one into your new one, so it's still there. So, and it's like sometimes you have an animal as a pet and it dies, and people get upset. But that pet, you might have a dog, but then you get another dog. But the pet that you had from that dog will go and take over the other dog. So the personality that of their last dog will come through the new dog or cat or whatever animal it is you have, whether it's a horse or whatever. So that's what we've got to understand, is that the human isn't a dead thing, the human is living. It has intellect, has about 20 different intellects in the human. The mind has a different intellect, which is slow and on a one single dimensional light, where say the body has so many different dimensions of intellect, So when we understand the importance of it, so the physical, the skin, the cells, every single thing has an intellect, it can make its own decisions instantly, where the mind and the brain and the intellect of the soul, even the intellect of the soul is different. It has broad intellect. It's nothing to do with the brain and mind. But the brain and mind is so refined. It's like it's so unordinary, If you invited everyone to a party, all your different intellects, the mind would be so unreal. We say, who's that weird one of the family over there? That's how strange the intellect is of the mind and the brain. The brain is actually just an instrument that uses, it's just like it's part of the body. And it will also die when the soul leaves. But the intellect of the soul is very broad, and it'll stay, it will continue on after death of the human. So it's just understanding, like, the first step, even though I know in Raj Yoga I've been through the whole lot, but it's like sort of putting the body in the back burner, you don't care about it, you work it to death and you don't give it a nice break. You forget to eat food or you forget to drink, and the poor old body's suffering, and you wonder why it doesn't perform well for you, So it's so important. It's like I've gone through so much stuff because I've been in the building industry for 50 years, and so all the poisons and everything that's in the building industry and the hard work of lifting and being in the rough places and all the rough people. So, but that doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just an experience. Some of the big building jobs are on in Melbourne. They're run by the mafia. I didn't know that till later, but that's how it was. So those sort of things. But I was just there doing my job, and just enjoying myself and donating blood and doing all sorts of things. And it's wonderful. So, but the thing is, when we start doing things like that, then you're actually taking from the body. So when you're young and healthy, it's okay because you get, in half a day you're up and running around again. You eat a bit of food, but it does take a few days for the blood. But I used to feel like when you donate blood, you feel so excellent, so good. The next few days, it's just like an upliftment. It must be from the good wishes, I think, and the people that use your blood, and they have the good wishes for that too. So you will experience that. So becoming implies, a process, a relationship with the body, a shift of identity, freedom of a byproduct of awareness. So these are the things. So when you're becoming, so suddenly you're not going to be, no one is free of all aches and pains. So I don't know anyone, apart from a baby, of course. Young people are jumping around like anything. They're not even aware of the body. That's why they don't have any aches and pains, and they fall over things and hurt themselves and learn all about sorts of things. But as you mature a bit, then these aches and pains mean something. Sometimes we have a fall and we hurt ourselves. And if you're on some sort of a spiritual path, it means when you have an accident, that means you were trying to hold on to something, and to get that out of your system, you'll have an accident, whether it's a car accident or fall off your bike or someone runs into you or whatever. So you fall down the steps, so you trip over something. So you have a bump and fill. So it's a letting go, So we're not letting go. You might have this thing buzzing around and around and around, and the body's getting, really sort of having to put up with all this stuff that it's been fed, and the next thing you fall over and you let go of everything that was buzzing you for a while because you're unconscious or something, or you're so in so much pain that you had to let go. And then when it all heals up again, you feel good. And you think, oh, I feel different. And that's why, because you have a chance the soul has a chance to download a few things and that you need. So, and the body's become a little bit rested, and you're not being so bossy and thinking you know everything, and you have to feed it all this stuff. Actually, if you let the body do its job, it can heal everything by itself. I mean, we do have wisdom in the sense that sometimes we might need a bit of something, that might help a bit. So maybe the body's a bit slack and you haven't been eating properly, then you might need a bit of magnesium and maybe an aspirin or whatever it is, That's called being wise, and you communicate with the body, I'm going to take this because I feel, I've had these muscle cramps, so I think we might need a few of these, and then the body, you'll feel that, oh yeah, that's right, you'll just feel it in your bones, or you might need something else, it might be multivitamin or something like that. But generally, my doctor used to say all you're doing when you're having all those tablets is just have very expensive pee. That's what they reckon. So, but anyway, so I used to be into all that stuff, but now I'm letting all that go, and but making sure I eat well. So I still might have magnesium or an aspirin, those two, because they're natural, and salt is something that the body needs a lot of. So freedom is a byproduct of awareness. So the thing is, awareness is who you are. You are the I am consciousness. Now, consciousness created energy. So energy is a communication. That's what energy is. It's communicating through the soul, and the soul communicates through the light body or through the body, and then processes are put into place that's what you're doing. They're having their experiences through that. But now what's happening is there's a huge shift in the world. You might notice that some days you're feeling good and some days you're feeling not so good, and some days you feel like you're forgetting everything, and some days you feel like you just can't get out of bed, you're achy and painy, and so you just need a good break. So these are symptoms that's happening in the world at the moment, where awareness is upgrading everything. So your consciousness, so through the energy, and this is where the new light body is starting to move into the human. It's like your master. And when we're when that's happening, sometimes we feel a little bit whacked, because you can imagine there's a whole change in consciousness, in the sense of in the awareness and in the intellects of everything, because the light body brings an instant awareness, so every cell in your body has its own intellect, so it's all linked up to the new light body. Before, it was all linked up to the old system, which was like the old post offices, all the chakras and all that sort of thing, and your big toe might not even get the message, so it depended on how good your post offices were, and that's the neutron body, that was called the old neutron body, and that's what's happening now, is that all this new body is coming in, and it's going to influence not only the light body, the new light body that's coming in. That's going to be and it's different to the master. The master light body is all your wisdom and all your emotions, and every one of those emotions has its own intellect as well. And the light body will have also its own intellect, which is so fast that the brain just can't keep up. Sometimes your body feels things long before the brain does, or your intellect does, from your mind, because it's so fast. But the intellect is just of the brain is so slow that it's got to think everything else. And when it doesn't get there before everyone else does, it makes up stories, So the idea is that we now are going to do what you feel, You must, the thing is, it's like, I can speak all day and everything all night, but the whole thing is it's up to you to start to feel, because feeling is going beyond the mind. The mind is not going to help you in any way, except take you away on a journey somewhere in outer space and beyond the moon and to the stars, and you'll be lost in space up there somewhere, and nothing gets fixed. But when you start feeling, that is when the soul is working through the human, and it's called the light body. Actually, the light body is starting to be put into place, and now the more you use the feelings through the human, the more of these things you can fix. So you might have an ache and pain, and you might say, I went for a walk this morning, when I first started, I had an ache on my hip, and I was thinking, oh, hey, body, you've got an ache on your hip. And I'm not owning it. I'm just saying, hey, I can also not have an ache, So that's what I'm talking to the body. And I just sort of left it at that. And then the ache went away, So I just kept on walking, and I went for a nice 40-minute walk and back. And I didn't feel anything on the walk or anything. So everything came back in line. And I said to the human, I said, look, human, we can have aches. I know we have aches, and I know we don't need to have aches. So we have achy body and we don't have an achy body. So it has a choice, it can see. I'm not trying to force anything, but I'm just saying that we can have an achy body or we can't have an achy body. You don't have to have one. So it's like with finances anyways, it's the same, isn't it? You can have financial problems or you don't have financial problems. So that means everything changes, doesn't it? So it has a chance that it doesn't have financial problems. Just simple things like that. So you say, I might be having trouble with my car, and then you say, I have trouble with my car, and I don't have trouble with my car. But what happens is, it doesn't mean suddenly the car gets well. But you might find a good mechanic that fixes it properly, or you decide to get a new car. So, and then the finances come through for that. So that's what happens. So whatever it is, you have a choice of being like this or not like this. This is where the big A-N-D, and comes into fruition. So I'm doing this and I'm doing that, or I am like this and I'm not like this. So you just learn to speak through the light body to the human. So it's you, the new master in this body. You are the one now driving the car. You're the soul as well. You're not, they're all separate. We're all one. It's like the big field. Even the body is the field. So we're all experiencing through the human. So the human is here, but right from the light body and the new light body, plus the soul, plus the I am, that awareness, and all the energy is experiencing through the human. Without a body, we can experience nothing in this world. So you have a choice to be like that. And some people just decide they want to commit suicide and they've had enough. That's because of what they think. And there's no right or no wrong. But what happens is that you just pulled back into another cycle of birth and death again. And that we don't judge anybody. We don't say there's right or there's wrong. It's not like that. So, and we do the body. So the body, you hear a lot of people having lots of joint operations and, get new hips and new knees and God knows what. And the thing is, it's like, do you have to have them, So, but sometimes they have so much pain that in the end, but they're still, what actually happens is we're hanging on to that pain. We think that's my pain, and we're relating that I'm the body, but we're not the body. But the body can't come home because you're not loving it. You have to love the pain as well. You say, okay, I accept. Okay, we've got pain. You accept it, you love it, and you can let it go. You see, once you've welcomed home the human back into the field, so the field is the human. So, but the human doesn't feel it has to be there, so it's outside. It doesn't feel welcome. So when you welcome your human as your best buddy, your friend, it's like you're a great team. The I am, the soul, the light body, the new light body. The human, and it's all one. But if you separate it and you have some bad thoughts about it, then it won't want to be with you. It'll feel that you're still judging it. You think you're too fat or you're too skinny or you're losing all your hair or whatever. So the whole thing is you keep giving it a hard time. And yet the body is so in love. It wants to be welcomed home. It wants to be at home and loved. This is my experience just recently. It's only really not long ago that I've started to comprehend the real meaning of loving yourself, And I used to say it all the time, but to actually experience loving yourself as a field, And so much love is in there, So much wonderful love, and that includes the body. And when you feel the love you have for the body responds very quickly. You'll feel this beautiful shiver, this shiver that the body goes, oh, wonderful, then I'm a welcome, I'm allowed home, and I can put my feet up and I can have a drink and have a cup of coffee and a laugh with all my friends, the light body, the soul, and the I am. So we're all one. And it's actually, even though the I am, it doesn't have a feel, but it's separate, but it still uses this field, my field for the I am, which is me, and it's my higher consciousness, my awareness that's operating through the human. So it's important to understand aches and pains are for a reason. And if we don't see the reason, we keep blaming the body, then the body doesn't feel welcome, does it? So just think every time I have a thought, is it a good thought or is it a negative thought? If there all these negative thinking about my body, oh my God, I put on so much weight, what's going to happen to me? Or I'm so skinny, I think all my bones are going to fall apart. All sorts of things. People have the same amount of dislike, for the human. So, but that's not what we're about. Here now, in this world today, if you want to become an enlightened being, which is what we're all about here, we're here to become a walking, moving deity in this human form. Okay, the human form is how as it is at the moment, but it's been upgraded at the moment. So it's going to become so beautiful and wonderful. You're going to be amazed. So as time comes on in the next year or so, you'll see, and it might even be quicker than that, because as you starting to accept yourself as you are, that's the main thing, Say, hey, body, we're all in you as a field, We're not separate. I'm not soul somewhere else, and I'm not my light body. I might be in you on your face, but I'm not a part of you, It's like, but now, once you've invited all things, you become this beautiful image of love and light, because you're just loving yourself for who you are and what you are. It's got nothing to do with whether you had a shower today or not, or whether you got up from a bather and all that sort of stuff. It's got nothing to do with that also, because we need to get away from the thought of fear of thinking, I haven't pleased someone today, or this hierarchical system. We've got to get out of that hierarchical system, because people believe in hierarchy, then they got a problem, because we are our Father's children, which is equal. There's no ups and downs. That's only fear was made by religions, it's to control people. You imagine you got your children, would you want children to have fear of you? Although some do, but generally speaking, a nice parent would never want their children to fear them. Love them and enjoy and laugh. And because we are in ourself in good condition, then the child won't be making mistakes. I mean, it'll be doing naughty things just for fun, but it will be living its life in joy and happiness, because the parents are in joy and happiness. But if they are not, if they're full of aches and pains and anger and fear, worry, all these things, which are being generated by humanity for thousands of years, we were probably teaching it a couple of thousand years ago. Who knows? And guaranteed would have been we would have been into some religion and teaching everybody about how bad it is to be, deceiving God, and he's going to take you away and chuck you in hell somewhere. There's nothing like that. That's all about control. And the poor people of the universes of this world are in dire, bad state of consciousness, because the soul is confused. It's the soul that's the problem. The soul is so, like Baba said, the soul can be absolutely impure and the soul can be absolutely pure. But because we're so corrupted, believing in some sort of God somewhere and something else. But the thing is, we are all our Father's children, everyone. But it's not like we think here. It's consciousness. You imagine consciousness doesn't have a form. Even the soul is light, isn't it? It's just pure energy. And the energy from the consciousness is communication. So when we are communicating from this, from the very source of us, which we call our God self, which Baba also says is you are the God who is creating, and we're creating through the soul and through the human. And we have all these experiences. So of just thinking over the last 5,000 years, what we haven't experienced doesn't matter. So we've had so much experience. Imagine how all that wisdom is there within us. And that's what my light body is. Now, the new light body is the real experience of this new creation that's starting to change. So the human will actually change and upgrade and say, well, the mind. So we've got lots of things, but unfortunately, we're living through it. Like if you died now and come back as a baby, you will come already upgraded. So you don't have to go through all the pains and aches. But this is such a time that it's such a journey, and you are here to experience this time. So whatever you're going through, it's an experience. Just remember, it's not the final scene. It's not the final drama. It's just an experience. So whether it's a relationship with somebody or whether it's with money or whether it's with self-respect, all these main things that affect people, through abundance, all these are the four main things that affect people, but they are only experiences. And when you can accept them, like the aches and pains of your body, you have to learn to accept everything because everything's in front of you for you to accept as a learn. I need to just observe. You don't have to do anything. You just observe and say, oh, I see. Yeah, I can see that. Yep. And that's it. You don't have to go and get burnt at the stake or anything. You just have to accept everything that's gone there. We might have got burnt at the stake one birth, you never know. So, because we've been into all sorts of things, you name it. But hopefully, it'd be a bit elchy, wouldn't it? Be tied up and then burnt alive. That'd be a bit elchy. So you'd have a few problems in your next birth with maybe sore feet or something. But the whole thing is, it's like now is the time that we have to let go of all those things, and drop them away. And that's the soul's job. You don't have to do it. You can't do it. We can't think our way through this. We're just going to allow ourselves to be loving. We're going to allow ourselves to be so loving, so kind to the human, so kind to myself, which is my soul and my light body. We're in this beautiful field. Remember, we used to talk about that fence. It was around, I used to go through and we'd take us through a meditation and that's the field. That's our everything. So our house is in there. So in our house, we went through all the different rooms and things like that. Well, this is the house that I'm talking about. This is now the field. So I've been through so many experiences, but now we need to just relax and enjoy because now's the time to just be relaxed because this is the only time in the universe at now, this is the only time ever in the consciousness of humanity ever that we're experiencing now at this time. So don't throw it away. Try and become aware and awake, that whatever's happening, whatever's happened to me, don't blame anybody for anything. It's your experience. So it doesn't matter if your mother died or your father died or your husband or your wife or your brothers or sisters or whatever. That's their experience. Because I was with them, maybe I had some form of attachment, but that's what needed to break. We need to break. We need to take out all these things that are hanging on to me, and so I'm free. But freedom doesn't mean you run away from everything. It just means you break free from everyone wanting you to do something for them, you know. So they're trying to drink all your energy. We need to stop people drinking our energy, you know. And we are trying to drink other people's energies too. So we're trying to control them, to try and get them to do things I want, you know. We try to get something from somebody. But you got everything within you, you know. There's nothing you don't have. You don't have to look for anything outside of you. A whole lifetime of creation, you know, and then I keep changing my mind all the time, you know. As I said, it's like I've never have the every if I am telling you something today and tomorrow I think, oh, there's something different today, then that's why I keep saying, don't believe everything I say. You have to do your own due diligence, you know. Is it right for me? If I do that, well, I'll try it and see what happens. I'm only relating my experiences to you. That's all I'm doing. I'm not teaching you anything. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not coming from some hierarchical system. As far as I'm concerned, we are all equal, you know, and that's all there is to it. We don't have to do anything. You don't have to heal anything. You have to allow things to be healed, isn't it? So, what's stopping me from being healed? Many times when I was building this place, I fell 4 times, you know, twice off a saw stool, once off the back steps. Just not being that's been just been a little bit careless, but I must have been hanging on to something, and then it's a bang, you know, and suddenly I'm on the ground and I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty amazing. So what was I hanging on to? You know, that's I wouldn't let go. And it's so many times when you find out, oh, now I see, yeah, I should let that go, you know. So maybe I was thinking about finances or maybe about contractors or different builders or, you know, doing different things and I should have been letting them go, you know. So that was to do with my life as well. Maybe my life, I was changing so fast. I had to keep up because when I started this job, I was so sick. I could hardly get up off the floor. If I had to get on the floor to nail something or do something, I had to get a chair to get up. But after a year of just being free and accepting my body as it was, and then gradually working away, it became free and I became extremely fit and healthy again. So it just shows you by letting go and allowing good health to come. And I was laughing all the way through. I must admit, I had some good laughs. You know, some of the guys I was working with. One guy I was helping. He had a triple bypass. He just had a big operation, and he could hardly lift a piece of timber up. You know, and uh, and he was actually a good builder, a big time builder years ago. And of course, has had a break up with marriages and everything, and he was probably gambling and drinking and smoking, and he was deaf as well. But I don't know, I felt so much mercy for him because I'd just been through the same myself. I thought, my God, I can just see. But he came out so nicely. But every morning he'd turn up for work here, and I'd just take a cup of coffee out to him and say, and he'd sit in the car for 15, 20 minutes, and then he'd just come and start helping me because I wasn't actually paying for him. I already paid for him, actually, supposed by doing the concrete guy. And the concrete guy just keeps to say, go and give Jim a hand, you know, you just work with him. And so he was a character, but he was a good carpenter, you know, like I mean, he was a proper builder, so he was good. It was like a blessing to have him, but at the same time, you don't judge everything that he's done. I had another guy that when they first bought this big building in here, and this guy had 1 foot, you know, he had the foot chopped off, and I said to him, what happened to your foot? He says, oh, I had it cut off because I got diabetes and I didn't stop drinking, and so they had to chop my foot off. And I know that because my brother-in-law, he had the same thing. He wouldn't look after himself, so he lost 1 foot and another one leg, and then the hand, and my God. But they won't stop drinking, you know, and smoking. So, and he said, "Oh, we go to the pub every night after work, and we all stay there till whenever and get drunk and that." So, but I could just see, I was actually working with people like that before, and they'd all come and visit me again, you know. But I must admit, I was just laughing and laughing because you just see how stupid it is, you know. But it was so funny for me. I just couldn't stop laughing because I've been through it all, you know. I've seen it all before, and now it's like turning up to show me how stupid it was, you know. So this whole job was like a reflection of my whole life, and I really enjoyed it in that way. And just learned to let go of everything. And I said to Bobby, I said, look, finances is your problem. I'm here. I expect finances to be there when I need it. And it was. I never even thought any more about money financially. And whatever money came, it came. It came from all over different parts of the world too. It just wasn't just from Auckland people. There was some people from different parts of the world that sent money, whatever it was. So, and that's what we do. We attract money. And Diddy was around then, and she inaugurated this in 2018, I think, after Shivani Ben had been. That was amazing. That was pretty cool. When Shivani Ben came, it's like when we had 200 seats at the front, I think, and we put them up as a donation so that people. And she found out about that, and she says, "I'm not going to do this program because you're charging, you're making money of it." I says, so I told her the whole situation anyway, and she hummed and hawed, and anyway, she's okay. Then I'll just do this once, but don't tell anyone else about it. So, not that I'm telling you, of course, but anyway, so that was interesting. So we could have, and there was about 1,600 people came for her program that night. So imagine if Bobbin was up there talking or something. They'd be a bit disappointed. But anyway, that was so that's to do with letting go. And anyway, I just left it to Bubba, and then this Bubba just changed her mind, and that's what that money paid for all the concrete around the place. It was really amazing, actually. So it was that. So we just had these things coming along at the perfect time. So a lot of people, it was funny at the beginning, people pledge sort of things, but a lot of people pledges, you might as well screw them up and chuck them in the fire, because that might be written on a bit of paper, but it doesn't mean much. So I just left it all to Bubba. So, and it's the same with us. We pledge to the body, oh, body, New Year resolution, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And the body goes, oh, yeah, another one of those, screw it up and chuck it in the bin. With about 2 weeks, it's gone. And but you don't have to try and do anything. The thing is, you just allow yourself, and that's what it's about, allowing yourself. If you become happy from allowing, you have to let your happiness go as well. You say, okay, I'm happy. I have to let that go and see how much more happiness comes. If you hang on to a single thing in your life because you like it, then it's going to hurt you. It's going to become like a big festering sore. You say, but hang on, I'm liking it. It's not that I'm hating it, but it's no. Everything in your life should be flowing like that gentle flow through the body. That's no matter what condition the body is in, and it's only in that condition because you wouldn't allow it to come home because we think we have to keep it out there. The body's out there. I'm in the body looking through the eyes, and I have to feed it. I have to heal it. I have to look after it. No, the body has a very, very good intelligence with it. Always has had. That's why you can see like some Buddhists will sit in the middle of the mountain, snow all around them, but the snow around them is melted. Such energy. That's the body, that's the human allowing consciousness to flow through it and to experience that. See? But if the body's not included in that, you wouldn't be able to do anything. So that's what it is. And it's such a beautiful thing when you can learn to allow rather than force anything. So and you just have to relax. And it's like breathing, isn't it? Sometimes we just have to breathe. Just take a gentle breath, and just allow yourself to be soul presence. You're in your field and soul presence. So you're present there. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to have a special shower or wear white clothes or dress up or undress or whatever. But the whole thing is that you just have to be there. I am here. And that's soul presence. You're not going to be flying around the room or anything. And even if you become a master, it doesn't mean you fly around around the room. You're just going to be one who is in control of oneself. Doesn't mean you're not going to have aches and pains. Doesn't mean you're not going to have problems. Would there be a life without aches and pains and no problems? Just think, if there's nothing in life like that, is it worth living even? So what will we do in life, you know? Sometimes we blame our children for things and they keep you up at night, keep you awake. So, and that's all part of the deal, you know. It's just like learning to live. We don't want to die. Once you decide, I want to live, the body go, wow, that's amazing. I want to live. Yeah. So that that my driver wants to live, you know, the soul was want to be alive. And I feel then the whole field wakes up and suddenly you're enjoying life. You go for a walk in nature and suddenly you hear the birds chirping and the sun and the moon and the clouds or whatever it is, you're going to enjoy because it's going to be such, even the fragrance or the fresh air from the trees, you know, you might walk in the morning or in the evening and the tree is giving oxygen and you're feeling that. So we have a choice, you know, in the sense that the choice is just become one, you know. It's just like a family. Just think, we've been separated for so long, and now it's time to come back together. But the child's not going to come home, isn't it? The child run away from home because the parents were so nasty, beating them up, and they thought, I'm getting out of here. I don't care. I'll sleep under the bridge, you know. And the whole thing, the child's run away, and it's not going to come home until it's ready, till the family is, you know, loving them. They welcome them home with love and affection. So if you think, oh, my body, my God, look at that, you know, it's so bad and it's smelly or whatever. And the thing is, you're judging it. So it's not going to come anywhere near your front door. It's not going to come in the back door. It wants to come in the front door when you welcome it open with arms, with lots of love. And it is as it is, you know. And the child has been out in this horrible cold weather and whatever. And it's been away for 3 days. It must be hungry and starving to death. And don't know where it's got its food from. It's been in someone's rubbish bin looking for things to eat. So it's like a wild cat or a dog or something. So, and that's what we've done. We've put everything outside ourselves. We are not letting ourselves love ourselves fully. That means, who am I? You know? And don't depend on anybody. That's the thing. When we become a master and we allow the body to be there and everything there, it's time now that you become really a self-sovereign. That's what Baba wants us to be. Be a self-sovereign, one who rules oneself, one who's independent, not to make up your mind and do something. Don't go humming and hurrying and changing your mind. Just do it. And then who cares if someone doesn't like it? That's their problem, not yours. Your problem is none. We don't have a problem. You're just going to go and have some fun. Yeah, just do it. And some people say, oh, what about this and what about that? Oh, that's their issues, not mine. My issue is for me, and that's loving myself, making sure I'm well fed and looked after and I'm, you know, not lacking anything. The only thing you can lack is something from yourself. That's why I say go and buy yourself something nice. You don't need it, but just buy it because you can. That means it's there, you know. You just get what you want. A master doesn't go and live on the bed, breadcrumbs and stuff, all this rubbish, you know, you don't need to worry about it. Eat the best, enjoy the best, you know. You don't have to go $1 million stuff, but you can just enjoy the best. You should. A master is one who doesn't need anything from anyone else, especially love and good feelings and praise and all this sort of stuff. You need to let go of that. That's and fear that someone doesn't love me, fear that someone doesn't like me. You have to please everybody. You don't have to please anybody. If you don't please yourself, you're not going to please anybody because everyone loves someone who pleases themselves, you know, because they are inwardly, but they are shining because they have everything. There's nothing they need. They're living in their own field, and the field is resonance. So you'll be radiating that beautiful light without even thinking. You're not thinking you're radiating light. You're just doing that because that's what happens when you learn to love yourself and everyone's at home and a beautiful family. Because your field, no one can touch you in your field. That's it. That's the safety net that protects you. Your field is your safety net. Remember that. You don't need anything from anyone. If you're trying to please somebody, you're going to save the world, good luck to you. Because you can never please anybody. Only they can please themselves. Doesn't matter what you buy them. Doesn't mean anything. As they say, you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. And they'll keep taking as long as you keep giving. And once you chop off that giving, suddenly they're gone, They'll go for someone else. And you've got all your energy back, you're not going to be wasting your energy. So you don't have to do anything for anybody. Remember, have to means they expect you to do that, but no, don't have any expectation from anybody, and make sure they know and realize for them not to expect anything from you, because you'll give when it's your turn to give. When it's ready, you'll be giving naturally love and light, isn't it? So the body lightens when it doesn't feel included. So the body tightens, I should say, not lightens, tightens. So the body becomes tight if you feel you're not included. So all these things stops the body from being free, because you want to be included. Oh, I'm all on my own, no one loves me. So then the body starts tightening because you haven't invited it home and love, you know. And the way you can do that is through the breath. The breath is like an invitation. It's like you breathe. It's like the bridge between the body and life. You're living. So you have to notice where the aches are. You don't have to look for them, do you? Because they're already there. So aches are there, but don't hate them. Love them. Put your hand on them. Say, look, I know you're there. Thank you for being there. And I remember doing a course, oh, must be 20 years ago. And it was all about that, actually. And I was teaching sometimes and about that, how to take away the aches and pains and stuff. And that was about loving the aches and pains and allowing it to leave if it wants, but now we're just adding this extra saying, I have aches and pains and I don't have aches and pains. So it isn't about free from aches and pains. It isn't about having perfect health. It's about having a regulated nervous system. How's that? It's about no longer fighting the body. Got that? You're not fighting the body. Can you imagine? Say, you're opening the door for your child to come home, and next thing you're belting it under the ear. You're a naughty boy or girl or running away, and well, the kid's just going to run away again, isn't it? So that's not nice. So, no longer fighting. So you have to stop resisting sensation, and sensation changes. So when you stop resisting, just think you've got this resistance. It's going on, and sensation changes. When you stop resisting, the sensation will change, and then the body will go, oh, I'm not fighting anymore. Oh, I'm free. I feel really good. I haven't got this resistance anymore. So, so when you walk and you ache, when you get out of bed and you ache, when you do anything and you ache, What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to love the ache and say, oh, I've got aches and I've got this and that, and I don't have this and that. So you can give, at least the body will say, oh, I don't have to have those aches and pains because that's what you called for. You know, say, I have aches. Every time you say, I have aches and pains, you're telling the body, have aches and pains, you know. But if you say to the body, and the big and, you know, A-N-D, the big and, I don't have aches and pains, see? Or it can be financial, as I said, it could be relationships, it can be through lack of self-esteem or anything like that. All of these things. It doesn't have to be just the body. It can be for life itself. So I have a relationship that's given me a headache, and I don't have a relationship that's given me a headache. Now, you have to be careful when you're asking for those things. Maybe you move away from that relationship. You never know. So you have to see who is controlling, who's giving who the headache, you know. So is someone trying to control? Has someone got their big hose inside you drinking all your energy, you know? So stop people drinking your energy, you know. Just tell them to go and get lost, you know. You don't want a friend that just drinks your energy, come around and yak, 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 and next thing you got no energy left because they've had their big straw right in your heart and just drinking it freely, you know, because you got a nice open heart to say, oh, I'm listening to everything they had to say. That's not nice. Just tell them to go and get lost. I don't talk about those things. Just tell them straight out. They might have even invited you out for a meal, you know. So they got this, you have a nice meal and they start moaning and groaning about everyone. Just get up and walk out and let them pay the bill. So I don't listen to that rubbish. If you want to talk that rubbish, I'm going to see you. Let them buy alone. So that's how strict you need to be, you know. Don't stand for all their rubbish. So. Okay, dear souls, time is flying. My goodness, time flies and blowflies. So there we go. Where did that time go? Talking about that. So that's my soul speaking through a Libra. So that's the one speaking. I made a few points, but that was about it. And the rest was spoken by the soul speaking through the human. And that's for all of us, you know. Once you realize I am a soul, that's you. Your soul is you, and you're allowing the soul to use you and speak through the human, because it's all part of the field. See? Well, not one is separate to the other. We're all one. Okay, on that note, I want you just to take a nice breath. Not hard, just soft, because you love yourself. So the human say, look, human, don't strain yourself. I'm looking after you now. Welcome home. Have a beautiful welcome home party tonight. Now. Okay, so just say, welcome home, dear human. I love you dearly. Welcome. Come and sit on the couch. You're a bit grubby and dirty, but it doesn't matter. I'm not that I'm seeing that, but just welcome it in. So the soul and it's welcoming in the human, and the light body is there. You're in the field. Because without the human, there's no field, I'll tell you now. So don't separate the human. Okay. Om Shanti, everybody. Love you all. Om Shanti.